we are in the 1960 C1 Corvette that we just did the Power Glide transmission rebuild on. Running really good, doing what it's supposed to do. It is cramped and tight for a 6-foot guy getting in this thing. Hey, keep hitting my head on the top liner, and it gets hot in these little cars, especially in Florida. It's a pretty humid day here as well, on top of everything else. Cruises as she should, goes in through all the gears as she should. Only 2 gears, so it's pretty easy on that side of things, but reverse and park do their thing too. It's just cool to really hang around and do work on these vintage cars. I grew up on them, I enjoy them. Pretty cool to see them coming through the shop. All the guys get pretty excited too. It's a little more fun than your day-to-day scenarios that we do. So I take that one a little more to heart. But this one is just going to be wiped down real nice. It was a little rainy this morning, and it's going to be flatbedded back to the customer up north of here. And I'm sure they'll be excited to get the car back and ready for cruising starting tonight if they really want to. It does have AC. I haven't tried it, but I'll let them worry about that. I'll sweat it out for a little bit here as we cruise down the road. But it's cruising good. I'm excited. I'm happy. And we'll get it back to the customer, and I'm sure they'll be just as excited and as happy as I am. All right, later.
Well, I just pulled the transmission out, and this is what you call a CVT. So what you gotta do, you gotta drop the frame, the exhaust, and do the top, remove all the bolts, and then drop it down. When you actual, make sure you're holding the engine with this pole jack, and then she'll come down. That's the exhaust on the floor, so it could get to the bolts, so it could drop the frame down. And that's the frame. You lower the frame, and then you got it. You don't have to have something holding up the engine on top, but you could have this right here, the pole jack, and then you just drop the frame. Since you can move you cannot move the frame out the way, but you just drop it here and then pull the transmission out.
All right, Nissan Quest here, CVT. I've been talking about those a good amount. They're the ones that we can't officially get parts on, so we can't build them here, so we have to get the remans or the refurbished from the dealers. That's the only way to get those suckers in our shop here to do our swaps. Those are the only ones that we really don't build in-house, but we get it's such a common issue for them to go bad that it's almost a weekly scenario of one unit coming in and going. The nice thing is it's a swap. Get the old one out, put it in the bin that it came in, ship it back to the dealership, put the new one in with the torque converter, so it's rocked and ready to go. So the side of taking it out and putting it in sounds easy, but it's actually not an easy task. As you've seen in the video previous to this, not only does the frame have to come down, we have to hold up the engine. It's a lot of work for even one guy, and we have one guy that usually tasks this. Usually a couple guys need help with the frame down. What we'll do, not just swap up the transmission, is check out all the mounts. That's the biggest thing that we'll do, because we're already under the car, we're already checking everything else out. 90% of the time a car needs either a transmission mount, an engine mount, something else is going on there, and we want to make sure that's taken care of because we have easy access. Parts already down and out, easier access when everything's out of your way, transmission's out of your way, and other parts are out of your way to get to those parts Instead of later on they come in and now it's 4 hours worth of labor instead of 4 minutes worth of labor because it's already out. So that's a key to what we do here too. On top of that, we also check suspension parts, you know, lower control arms, axles, all that good stuff comes along the way there. But this is just an involved process. Exhaust has to come down, heat shields, scatter shields, or anything else that's kind of in the way, and we have to start at the top. You know, air boxes, batteries, all that good stuff comes out. We work our way down, get the exhaust, mounts and everything else off, suspension off, frame, front frame off, and then we can start digging into the transmission. Sometimes, based on what we're doing, we actually have to have an engine hoist at the top of the car, hold the engine up. This one here, we're able to hold it from the bottom. There's not much that's going to go under it over the next couple days, and usually these can be 1.5 to 2 day swaps due to the time frame. So for the most part, we'll put other cars that are going to take a little bit longer in front of it. That way we get this one up, get it swapped, drop it, get it out, and then you know, on to the next one afterwards. So it's an involved process, a lot of little parts, and when you add up a lot of little parts that have to come off, it turns into a big project. And then you have big projects with the frame and such. So again, sounds easy on paper. A customer comes in and says, oh, all you have to do is just swap a transmission. How hard can it be? Sometimes if they're here and we have one down, like on this Accord or on this Nissan, we'll show them. We'll say, here's the true picture. It's not something that you can tackle in your driveway. For the most part, people do it. You know, it's turned into a very involved process, especially on these front wheel drives, that and all-wheel drives, to actually do this not only properly and right, but efficient, and to make sure every nut and bolt that comes out goes back in, is torqued right. It's a lot of action, a lot on our plate to make sure we get it proper. And then there's lines, you know, there's cooler lines that has to be flushed, battery cables, all that other stuff that kind of gets in the way as you're taking stuff off too. So full involved process. We do it every day, part of the job. We enjoy it, but we'll let you know it's not something that happens, you know, and you guys are calling up 15 minutes later asking where's your car. This is what is happening. This is what goes on. So it's good to see, again, the real side of what goes on behind the scenes once you drop off a car at the shop and call on an update. We try to do our best on doing that. We got to order the parts got to come in. We gotta, even when we take off stuff, we find more stuff that needs to be replaced. So it's a process to do a quality job. It takes time, but we're efficient with it. You know, as soon as we find out that one of the mounts is bad, we're calling up to get one, you know, either from our dealer or local auto parts shop, and then anything else. You know, the fluids we already have in stock. We're ready to tackle almost any other project outside of stuff that we don't keep in stock on our shelves. And as you've seen our shelves, we have a lot of transmission stuff. But the mounts and axles, of course, those aren't, we're not going to have every single model and make, just because there's thousands of them out there, and every year it seems the manufacturers change those out to make it more complicated for everybody else. So we're just following suit with that. Cool little CVT action. Again, very, very popular in shop here, and until we can get the aftermarket parts and availability, or the dealership parts, whoever comes first, we're going to do it. And there's classes out there, guys are already teaching them. We've kind of started tinkering into it, but until we can really do anything on accessing parts, there's a lot to hold back until we truly have the parts in our hand, can rip it apart, put it back together, and it's still a learning process. So it's going to take some time, and actually longer time to begin with, to make sure everything goes back right. Just a new transmission to everybody once it gets opened up. But thanks for listening. It's cool little video here of seeing what it takes to put this up and in. And this will be down tomorrow. We'll be out driving it, test driving it. It actually has to be programmed as well. It comes with a paper and a chip, and we have a special programmer that we have to pay to come to the shop and program it before we can even do a full road test with it. So again, it's an involved process, and there's a lot of tasks along the way with just this transmission. So hopefully in the future it'll be a little more efficient, but for now, this is what we got to do. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.